I missed my train stop and I got a lift home with 3 men I didn't know.
Hey everyone, it's me, Lizzy Hoo. I'm a comedian, writer, and your friendly guide through life's funny, awkward, and downright please let the ground swallow me whole moments. So if you're looking for some perspective and, of course, a laugh, I'm a comedian. To help you feel better about the chaos of life, you're in the right place. This is The Lizzy Hoo Show. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of The Lizzy Hoo Show. I'm super excited to welcome my next guest, who is Kumi Taguchi. Kumi is a very good journalist. I got nervous because I'm interviewing someone who interviews for a living. So I felt like, oh gosh, am I going to interview properly? Am I going to ask the right questions? But to be fair, I was just so happy to meet Kumi because I have been a fan for such a long time and I really had to hold it together because even in my first few sentences in this podcast, my eyes started to well up and I was like, shit, don't cry. But Kumi, she's done so many things. She is the host of Insight on SBS, which is a really cool show. They discuss really cool, edgy topics, which we talk about in the podcast. I kind of was first introduced to Kumi when she had an episode on Conversations with Richard Feidler like ages ago, like 2017 or something. And then she did this documentary called Kumi's Japan on the ABC. I think you can still watch it. It must be on iView. But it talks about the experience of being a mixed race kid and sort of straddling two worlds and living in two worlds and not really feeling like you're in one or a part of the other, which I related to a lot being a mixed race kid. I remember watching it and thinking, wow, I've never seen this before on TV. I've never seen this experience so articulate. And ever since then, I've been such a big fan of Kumi. And last year, she released a book called The Good Daughter, which is about largely her relationship with her dad, who she really didn't grow up with. But in the book, it talks about how she did rediscover her relationship with her dad, and in the same time, she learned more about herself. I really enjoyed this chat, and I'm so thankful for Kumi for coming on The Lizzy Hoo Show. And I guess that's one of the good things about doing a podcast is you can kind of invite people on that you've always wanted to meet. And Kumi is definitely one of those people. I think Kumi's got like huge aura. She is just so joyful and not judgmental. And I really loved her energy and I fangirled hard. I hope it doesn't come across too hard, but I loved it. And please enjoy this episode with Kumi. I think you'll love it. Kumi Taguchi, I'm so excited to have you on The Lizzy Hoo Show.
I'm so excited to be here.
I really, honestly, this is very personal. I've wanted to meet you for some time.
I feel the same. I actually felt very emotional. I'm like, does this person actually like me and know who I am?
Yeah, I've read, from the beginning, I think I was going back through I'm like, why did I get onto Kumi? Because I think I feel like I listened to your conversations. And then I watched your where you go back to Japan on iView, and that was, I think that came out in 2019.
It did? You know better than me, but yes, it did.
And then Kumi's Japan, and I think it was at a time, like I started comedy in like 2016, 17, and I did my first show in 2019, and I think it was at a time when I was really like going through this thing of like identity, like what I'm also mixed race kid, and I watched your Going Back to Japan show and I was like, oh my gosh, like I'd never seen anything, I'm getting emotional, I'd never seen anything like that.
Wow.
I think on TV explaining like how it made you feel. Gosh,
I'm actually feeling really emotional. I really struggled to get over the line to make that documentary.
Oh, that's so
because I wanted to do as typical Kumi style, I don't want to talk about myself or my feelings. I wanted to do something around identity and belonging and all that kind of stuff, but more intellectual, like let's have a philosopher, let's have a, and the person I was working with at the time said, she had this great thing about storytelling. She said the bigger an issue is, the smaller you go. The smaller something is, the bigger you go. So let's say the small story is a egg tart shop is closing in Hong Kong.
Got it.
That's the story. But you go big on that. Like, who's going there on the closing day? Who started it? Like, because it's such a small story. But
you got to get all the
where
questions.
do we belong in the world is huge. So she said, I think the only way that this can be told is through you and your story. And I resisted it for months. I said, no, I'm not doing it. It's not what my journalism is. It's not about me. I didn't get into the industry to do this. And she just said, I think it'll be the most powerful way to tell this story is if it's you. And so, that's how it came about. So I'm so happy that it resonated with you.
It resonated so hard with me. Wow. I remember at the time, and I remember just thinking like, wow, this is the first time I've seen this sort of dynamic play out on TV in that sort of way. And I think I was like sort of just like really exploring that part of me and then hearing like your conversations episode. And then when your book came out, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to read this. And I motored through it.
Really?
And I loved it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
It was a really brilliant book. And it's about, I guess, my understanding is your relationship with your dad, but then finding out more about yourself. Exploring that.
Yeah, exactly. And in a sort of unconventional way, I was born here and then I had all these amazing revelations and now I'm fully formed human, which is often the narrative, right? Yeah. I really love this idea of memory and time and that it takes a while for us to become who we want to become, and that's all changing, and I think we don't give ourselves enough space around that. You know, it's like we always have to improve and get better and finally be this perfect person that we've always wanted to be, and I just don't think life's like that.
And you said earlier that you resisted telling that personal side of you. Obviously, like, you're a journalist. You deal in facts and figures. What made you decide, you're like, okay, I'm going to tell my personal story?
God, I didn't want to. Again, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I'd been knocking some ideas around throughout my probably 20s and 30s. I'd always had a bit of a sense of really feeling quite lost and where do I belong, and not even in the racial identity, but just I don't ever feel like I really fitted in. So I'd mucked around with stories a lot, and actually the first chapter of the book I'd written 40, 50 times over in different formats, letters to people, conversations. And I often say it's like there's someone knocking on your front door and you don't want to let them in. And sometimes you just go away, and they go away, and then a few months later they're back. And I feel like the book wouldn't let me go. Like, so
That's
funnily
cool.
enough, Conversations was such a sort of formative moment because I also felt like a bit of a fraud going on that show because I'm like, well, I don't really have anything to talk about and I'm not that interesting. I haven't saved the world. I haven't come up with a cure for this disease, you know, all those cool people who go on the show. And I just didn't think I had much of a story to tell at all. And at the end of that, actually, Richard Feidler said, you know, there's enough in here for a book. You should keep writing about this. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. So, look, I didn't want to, but I felt like it wouldn't let me go. And in fact, I feel now that I've written it in the way I wanted to, I don't need to write about it anymore. Often people say, is it cathartic to write your story? Do you feel sort of different? I don't feel different, but I just feel relieved of this puzzle. It's like you want to solve this puzzle and the puzzle happens to be you. And I feel relieved that that's not a puzzle I feel like I need to spend much more time thinking about anymore.
You can shelve it.
I can sort of shelve it, and move on and sort of move on to something different or whatever that might be. So, I didn't want to do it. I felt really difficult. The first few drafts, I threw out 80,000 words each draft.
You said that in the book.
Insane.
Yeah.
I threw out, didn't even keep any drafts in Google Docs or whatever. Because I was still at a distance. I'm still sort of writing a bit like, I don't really want to tell people how I really feel. And I don't want to tell people about that part of my flawed part of my character. But until I wrote honestly, the book was never going to be finished. So I just had to kind of just throw myself in there and be honest.
Yes. Well, it's brilliant.
Thank you.
Everyone should read it. I loved it.
Thank you.
You're a journalist. You've done so many amazing jobs. Can you tell me, like, what in your journalism time, what has been a highlight for you? What do you love about it? You
know, I love seeing into other people's lives and seeing how they navigate the world. And it's such a privilege. Like I can call up and say, I work for this organisation and we get access to life. I often feel like I get paid to learn about life. I feel like I get humbled all the time, people's strength and resilience and all those kind of cliched things. But I feel like through journalism, I've learnt the values that I come to appreciate the most. Like I've never really valued materialistic stuff or fame or, I don't know, the things that I feel like a lot of our society tends to kind of espouse, or success, whatever success is. And in journalism, I feel like the stories I've covered or even just had the slight insight into have made me see what sort of the strengths of human beings that I really value. And it's like sort of persistence or courage or vulnerability.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's the best job in the world. Like I feel so
any
lucky.
journalist I meet has that view, I think.
Yeah, it's
I mean, you might know other ones that don't, but honestly, the ones that I meet, they're like, oh, it's the best job in the world.
It's the best job in the world. And it's hard. Like,
it must be
it's
so
not
hard.
easy. And I often think that there's something a bit weird in us that wants to keep searching for answers.
Yeah.
And then you get these incredible people. So it's funny, I don't have highlights of, a lot of people say, oh, who's the most famous person you've met? And I don't have those, but I have people who stick in my mind. I write about some of them, like the people who stick in my mind who I've just never forgotten or feel so lucky to have had them tell me a story.
Yeah. There's a couple in your book from memory. There's like a guy. Is there a guy
I call Tim who was like, came back from war and he sticks in my mind. There's so many people I remember.
Or things that they say that would stick in your mind. Yeah.
And as I get older, a really interesting thing starting to happen with my career, which I never imagined, is all these stories I've covered, not necessarily on the ground, but say sitting in a news studio for 3 hours and the Paris attacks happen. So for 2 weeks, you're just doing 3 hours of coverage about all these people have been murdered in Paris, or the Syrian refugee crisis where for night after night after night, we're just doing constant live footage and shots of like people flowing in from Syria to Jordan. Or I don't know, remember there was that boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal or something and every bit of shipping was held up all over the world. Yeah. Things that don't seem like some small things, some big things that you just, at the time, it's the news of the day. Now there's this kind of weird sense of, I was part of history.
Yes.
I'm that far removed now. It's maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, or 9/11, I remember that day going to work. So it's kind of weird. You then revisit some of these things and go, oh, that's now in the past. And that's now a little moment that's formed all these other moments since that you can't see then, but you can see with retrospect.
Yes.
And I find that quite fascinating too. Like, I'm actually been part of, I remember when that happened.
Oh, you would have so many. Where were you when this? Often in a newsroom.
Yeah, often in a newsroom, eating lots of shitty food.
Yeah. Because people say to me, like, doing stand-up comedy, they're like, how do you do that? Like, how do you get up in front of people? For me, it's journalists when you do a live cross.
Oh,
I'm like, how do you do that?
I don't know how you do it. See, because I think yours is so much harder because you've had to think of all the material and make it funny and get your timing and understand audience. On a certain level, a live cross is easy in the sense of all I need is facts. Like bushfires here, this is what the wind's doing.
Yeah, okay.
This is who I spoke to. But the live cross is scary. And actually, I used to have a lot of journos come to me and say, can you help me practice my live crosses? Because I'm going out on the road next week or something. And I'm
terrifying.
Like, sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean? I said, you can't practice stand-up. You can do it, I'm sure, 1,000 times in your room. But you have to get up in front of an audience because that's where it happens and that's where you learn and that's where you fail and that's where you make mistakes and that's where you learn that there's a gem over there that you hadn't really considered. So live crosses are the same. You cannot practice live cross. You have to do it. And invariably, unless you're sort of weirdly wired, it'll be stumbly, you'll forget things, and that's just how you learn.
Yeah.
But that's the fun. I'm sure there's a bit of because you don't have another chance. The adrenaline.
Yeah.
And I used to play the violin a lot and you can't just sort of, I've made a mistake, let me go off the stage and come back on and start again. I think we're pushed when we don't have a safety net.
Oh, 100%.
Right? We find parts of ourselves that can only come out when we can't start again.
Yeah. So the violin, you talk about this in your book quite a bit, how you learnt as a child and you were really good.
Look, I wasn't naturally amazingly talented, but I was very disciplined and I worked hard. So I was pretty good.
Did that set you up for life though? I feel like people who are really good at music as children, they have this discipline in them that's like sets them up that they draw on for the rest of their life.
I think so, but I didn't start to see that till I was quite a bit older. Okay. I think probably the biggest thing it set me up for was actually my job and not so much the discipline but the multitasking. So in an orchestra, or even just reading music and being able to translate that onto a in my case, the violin. But in an orchestra, you've practiced your part for however many hundreds of hours, then you're sitting in an orchestra and you're reading the music and playing your thing. You're hearing your violin, but you're also having to listen out for the other ones around you so that you're all in tune. You're also looking over, say, at the cellist because you know that you and the cellist share a sort of phrase together and your right eye is sort of on the conductor. But you're also thinking ahead because you know that there's a phrase coming up that's quite tricky, but it's on the page turn. So you need to remember the first few bars of the next phrase so that you don't, mess up. So you're doing an extraordinary amount of stuff in the moment. That are requiring all different senses. And so when I think about live crosses or live productions or even the work I do now where you're sort of in a live studio and you're juggling all these things and different people and thinking, okay, but hang on, I have to make sure I get that answer out of them. And the next person come up is this person. I need to remember that her story is quite challenging, so I've got to shift my tone so that I don't kind of come across as harsh, whatever all those thoughts are. And then there might be the director talking in my ear going, oh, can you move a bit to the left because you're blocking camera 5 or whatever. I think that's actually where I feel like I nearly picked the perfect career.
It sounds like it went the way that you describe it, like that analogy. I'm like, wow, you live TV.
Set, yes, where that skill set actually, and I have a confidence, I'm not confident inherently, but I have a confidence that there'll be some kind of muscle memory that allows me to cope in a live situation when all the shit hits the fan.
So you host Insight, which is an amazing show. And honestly, like some of the subject matter is so edgy.
Yeah. It is, right?
It's real edgy
we
stuff.
do edgy stuff.
Yeah, it's real edgy, but you're the perfect host and like everyone gets a say. And when I watch it, I'm like, oh, it really opens your mind. Is that a quality of yours that you're very open to all walks of life, to all opinions?
I think so, yeah. I mean, Insight's made me be even more open-minded, or at least in the studio. I have to give that impression. I always have been. I've always been quite conscious. I don't know why, that you just never know about people. And I used to have much more hardened views. I guess I think all of us in our 20s have got sort of like, oh, this is good, this is bad, banks are evil, whatever it is. But I feel like there's just so much more subtlety in everything. Yeah. We structure the show in a way that that's absolutely how it is. But my Aussie grandmother, whenever I'm a bit lost in life, I think, what would my granny do or how did she act? And she was just the most welcoming person. She never stopped learning, but she welcomed sort of everyone, no matter where they were in their life. And the number of times I'd go to her house and there'll be some random, she was in her 70s, there'd be some random sort of 35-year-old guy with sort of dreadlocks and a beard, and she's sort of made friends with him and he's talking to her about the 5th marriage that's blown up. She's going, oh, right, dear. Yeah, that sounds challenging. Would you like another cup of tea?
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah, and I just remember thinking, I hope I'm always open. And it's really interesting in the Insight studio because if you do build, especially an edgy show where there's a whole range of opinions, of course, any normal human is not going to deep down fundamentally agree with every single person.
No.
So that's my matter, of course. By walking into that studio, there's going to be a few people who, if I sat across them for coffee, I probably wouldn't be sitting across them for a coffee because they kind of wouldn't be my person. But in the framework of the show and the way that we craft our questions, and I always go in there just saying curious and open.
Oh, that's nice.
Let's say I really disagree with your view on microphones.
Okay.
And I'd say, so, Lizzy, you first became interested in microphones when you were 10. Why did you have them around your room all the time? Now, I can ask that second part of the question, like, why did you have them around your room all the time?
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with your stance. But I'm always like going, no, Kumi, open and curious. Say, why did you have them around your room all the time?
Yeah.
Like I always try and have that real sense of, so why did you decide that cheating on your wife was a good idea?
That's hard.
Yeah. And I just really try. And the way that you can get someone to talk and you don't condone everyone's decisions or choices or beliefs, but there is something really kind of often the people who I wonder about before I go into the studio, because I know their stories, are the ones where I come out going, oh, there was a lot more to that person than I might have thought.
What a lesson.
What a lesson. Or they're exactly how I thought.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
That's them. You do you, I'll do me. But yeah, it's really, I do feel like you do have to be open-minded, and ultimately we will never get the shows that we want, and the audience won't get the shows that they want if we don't play a really straight bat, and if I don't genuinely, I think, feel like I'm at least open to hearing everybody. Yeah. It's up to you sitting at home to decide
what your opinion is
what you think about someone.
I want to get into your story.
Oh, yes.
So obviously we do a story on this podcast. I call it a situation. It's a shitty situation that you've got yourself out of.
Yes.
And at the top, I get everyone to give me a one-liner synopsis of the story. So Kumi, could you please give me your one-liner of your story?
My one-liner is, I missed my train stop and I got a lift home with 3 men I didn't know.
Okay, where are you? What train station is this?
It's Central. It's in Sydney, and we're going from Central to somewhere. Well, I ended up about 40 minutes away, and I should have got off a station 12 minutes away.
Oh, okay. So have you fallen asleep? What's happened? Okay.
So I'm in my early 20s, living literally paycheck to paycheck. So there's no extra money floating around.
Journalist?
Yes, journalist.
Early days like cadetship?
Didn't get a cadetship, but early days.
Okay.
Also nearly not paycheck to paycheck. You know when you've got like $3 left in your account. So I'm getting a train home late at night. It's close to midnight. On the train, I've got to get off my stuff, fall asleep. Okay. I don't think I'd been drinking. I think I must have just been
probably
tired.
Like a long day.
Yeah.
Is that like early stages journalism? Is that you just have to, I guess early stages any job. You just have to throw yourself in.
It could have even been a weekend. Don't know.
Okay.
Wake up and I'm like, where am I? And it's midnight at this point. And the train has stopped and I have no idea where I am at. Also, this is how odd I am. It's not like I've got a mobile phone or Google Maps. I have no idea. Like, I don't know where I am. Middle of I'm in the middle of nowhere.
I was talking about this with a friend, like when we used to go out.
Yeah.
And if you happened to pick up and you spent the night at someone's house, you would wake up and be like, where am I? Where am I?
Oh my God, I hadn't thought about that. You're right.
You had no maps.
It's not like you remember really getting there.
No,
it would have been dark.
You would just have to like leave then figure it out. Oh,
you've got your shoes.
Trauma.
The eyeliner dripping down.
Yeah.
So good.
That was a real walk of shame.
And it's not like you can then go, get the Uber.
No.
Oh my God.
It was like go to a payphone, call a friend. And be like, I'm so sorry, I'm here and here. And then they would have to get out. I don't know what it's called in Sydney.
You've got the Melway or whatever?
Brisbane, it was a Refidex.
Brisbane, the Refidex. We had I can't remember what it's called. But that massive map book. And then you have to go, I've got to go from page 90 to 73. And then you put a finger there. Then go to 73 to 64A.
That was terrible times. I'm glad we don't live in those times anymore.
I wouldn't survive. With the survival of the fittest, I'd be dead.
People talk about the good old days, but
it's not good.
They won't.
So I'm at this station. The only thing I do know is that I jump on the other side of the platform.
Okay.
And the train will come and I'll go back in the right direction.
Logical.
Right? So go over the other side of the platform. There's no trains anymore because it's midnight.
Yeah.
There's no trains. I'm like, I am actually screwed. I started actually panicking at that point. I'm like, I don't know where I am, what to do. I can't, I would never have even considered a taxi for a kilometre. So I'm looking at $100 in taxi, which I don't
you've
have.
got $3
I've got $3 in my account. So then I'm like, what do I do? So I thought, I don't know, there's no train guy, there's nothing. So I walk through the car park and there's these groups of young guys having a massive night out.
Groups in the train car park.
Sort of in the car park. And they've got that energy about them, that kind of like, where your nervous system just goes, I don't think this is safe.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is stuffed. Like I didn't even feel safe to walk across the car park to a group of shops.
Partying in a train car park.
Yeah. Or going back from somewhere or crossing the car park, whatever. And I'm like, this is really shit. Then I see a group of 3 men, probably, so I would have been, they're probably like in their mid-40s.
Okay. Not a part of the party.
Not a part of the party. Walking across the car park. And I think they've got off a similar train. So they've probably done a commuter thing or something.
Oh, okay.
And I look at them and I go, actually, I didn't even think that much. Somewhere in my gut I thought, this is my best option. I don't have any other option right now. So I go up to them And I said, are you guys
Normal?
driving? Like, what's happening? Oh, we're just getting in our car. I said, are you guys going to Sydney, to the CBD? And they go, yeah. Against all better judgment, right? Because everything you've been told. I just said, can I get a lift with you?
Yeah.
And they stopped and they went, yeah. I said, I know this is really stupid, but I can't get home. Like, I cannot get home. Can I get a lift with you? And that even as I'm walking to their car, I'm thinking, I'm going to be on the headline. Like, I'm going to be a news story.
Oh, no. You're writing the story.
Yep, I'm already writing the story in my mind. So I go up to the car, whoever's driving, and it's like a sort of SUV sort of situation. And I've always been a bit of a, not catastrophizer, but
worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario. Before I get in, I look in the windows, like to see, and there's a baby seat, you know, on one side of the car, the back seat. So first thought is, this is good. There's a baby seat there.
Yeah,
Second
I feel like
thought is, if you're a serial killer and you want to lure in a young unsuspecting woman and build her trust, come on, guys, let's chuck a babysit in there, because then she will think that one of us is a dad.
Oh.
So then I'm thinking, I've been caught, but I don't have an option. So at that point, I'm like, still thinking this is my best option. So they get in the car. There's three, obviously the driver somewhere there, and someone has to sit in the back seat with me. I never like to make a fuss.
Okay.
So I'm getting a bit better as I get older. But then I was really proud of myself. I said, look, would you mind if I sit on the outside, on the door side? I didn't want to be stuck in between the baby seat and the other person. This is how paranoid I was. Yeah. So I'm thinking driver, passenger seat, baby seat. I didn't want to be in the middle.
No, because that would have been tight too.
Because then I can't open the door and jump out. If I feel scared, I can't open the door and jump out. Later on, I was thinking, how many calculations did I do in 30 seconds to make sure that I didn't get killed or raped? Like, that is kind of stuffed.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Totally. Yeah.
And no one's taught me about this scenario.
No.
That we grow up kind of sort of knowing we've got to look after ourselves physically and how to not get killed.
Yeah.
So somehow I'd run through all this in my mind. So I'm like, do you mind if I sit on the outside door? And I think they totally got it. He goes, yeah, no, not a problem.
Okay.
Then as I got in, I double checked if there was a child lock on the door. There wasn't. And the whole trip back, I was just hanging onto the lever of the inside of the door and looking at how fast we're going and thinking, if I opened it now and rolled out, I'd probably survive at, 60 Ks an hour or 80 Ks an hour. And it was, of course, totally fine. They dropped me somewhere in town.
Did you talk?
I don't think so. I can't remember much at all.
They sounded like good people.
They would have been workmates or something.
Yeah.
They're doing the commuter thing, or maybe they've had a few beers in town or whatever.
Yeah.
Who knows, or a few beers after work and they're driving back.
Yeah.
They would have been lovely people. Weren't murderers, weren't rapists. I'm sure one of them actually did have a child. Yeah. But I just remember thinking I'm doing the thing that everyone says not to do. But I remember thinking, well, this is a better scenario than being left overnight.
In the train car park with the party boys. Yeah. 100% best scenario. But what else would you have done? That would have...
I actually don't know. I actually think, what if they hadn't have turned up? I reckon I would have walked into the main sort of town, but it was one of those places that sort of seemed to have just a sort of strip of shops next to the train station. There's sort of like a kebab shop and stuff. There's probably one main drag, which I reckon would have been closed. Oof. Honestly, I don't know what I would have done at that point.
Do you remember getting out and just being like...
One, I would already felt like I'd put them out, made them feel awkward. I felt awkward. I just remember getting them to drop me off at the edge of the CBD and just go, look, here is fine. And I would have then walked about half an hour home, but just through the city and feeling so relieved. And I remember, actually, it's funny, another time at uni, when everyone's partying on a Friday night, I was at orchestra practice.
Oh, of course you were.
Yay. And it ended 9 o'clock on a Friday night. And there had been a rapist around the grounds of Wollongong Uni. I was too polite to ask for a lift home. There was a girl who would sometimes say, do you want a lift home? I'd go, no, I don't want you to bother. Anyway, sometimes I let her give me a lift home, but it was nearly not worth it because I just felt so kind of uncomfortable, which is so ridiculous. And so this one night I decided to walk home, and I walked home in the dark and across this really dark field, and there's all this stuff around about women getting attacked. And I was so scared. I just remember thinking, you were such an idiot. Why didn't you just accept the lift home? And I remember that 30-minute walk feeling like it was 5 hours of this existential fear and crisis. And walking into my college door, and this light, it was warm and there's people eating toast and drinking tea, and I never felt so relieved in my life. It was the same feeling of just relief that I'd got away with not getting hurt.
Isn't that awful that we have to think
I really think it is. And I love men. Like I love my fella. I'm not one of those men are bastards, and I really love elevating men. I think it's a really important thing for women to do, is to talk really positively about the men in their life if they're good men. But I remember on one International Women's Day when I think a bunch of us had probably got up at 5:30 to have a breakfast before work because, let's celebrate women, but get up early, drop your kids at some early morning daycare,
of course,
so that you can get to a breakfast so that you can then get to work on time. And I just remember when I was on Twitter, I don't do any of that stuff anymore. I remember tweeting and saying, Happy International Women's Day. And I was really positive. I said, just a little reminder of everything I do before I go for a run.
Yeah.
It was one of my most retweeted tweets. I was very proud. I said, keys in the fingers, never walk, never run the same route, never had my headphones on, always let someone know where I am. And I had, I reckon, a list of about 15 things that I did before I go for a run.
Oh.
And I'm like, this is actually kind of shit.
It's so shit. I do that too. Like if I'm running at night, I'm always like main roads.
Really?
No parks, no creeks.
No headphones.
No headphones, or like very soft. I'll do like very soft so it's like
keys?
I can still. No keys, no keys. But I do I'm always like.
You're always conscious of who's around. I do find like maybe I'm too paranoid, but if I'm walking along a dark street or any street and there's space around and there's a man walking quite close behind me, please move to the other side of the road.
Oh, yes.
That's all.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't trust him. It makes it better for everybody. Yeah. But it does suck. I don't like that's how it is. I've got to say, for all the sort of oppressive stuff sometimes I talk about Japan, the sort of smaller and more polite, which I think is just not even oppressive, it's just different. I never worry about my safety in Japan.
Oh, my gosh.
Physical safety. And I'll get up at 1 a.m, think I want some noodles down at the 7-Eleven, walk down a street, have my head there's a liberating feeling about feeling physically so safe.
So safe.
I love running, but there was a point where I just got to get more fearful about stuff for no particular reason. So I thought, I'll go running in the middle of the day if I've got space and time. And I could put because I love running with music. Put my music on. I don't need to be worried about dark alleys. And then in the area I was living at the time, which was like a very nice sort of suburban area in Sydney, a woman was grabbed and pulled into a van at midday.
What?
Yep. So then I started thinking, hey, a suburban at midday's bad because there's no one around. Then I'm like, I'm better off running through King's Cross at midnight on a Saturday night.
Yeah, take your pick.
And again, talking about it, it's not like I'm hating on men. It's just like this is the reality of...
This is the reality of our world that we have to think about. I always pick up backpackers and stuff if they're hitchhiking.
Wow, I've never seen any.
I've seen a few, but I was on the way back from a gig one night in Melbourne. I think I was down at the Peninsula way. And as we were heading back into the city, I just filled up petrol. There was a crossing in front of us. Went to cross and these 2 young girls, I reckon they were like 16, 17, came out in front of my car and stopped my car. And I went down my window. I was like, are you guys okay? And they said, we really need a lift home. Like they looked disheveled. They looked like they'd been walking for hours. And I said, yeah. They're like, our house is just up there, but if we keep walking, it's going to take us like an hour and something to get home. And this guy has been following us. We had to catch the train. It was like they were just God. They were like really panicky.
Like just totally not even probably thinking straight at that point.
Not thinking straight at all. And I was like, get in the car. And I drove them home and I was just like, I've been that girl before.
Yeah,
like
so
I've
awful,
been
so frightening.
That person, whether they went in and they got to town and they got home too late, they didn't time the trains and whatever. Like I've been that person and I feel like every woman can relate to that
and
panic.
Your body just feels panicky.
Yes.
It's not even like there's no logic. Apparently you can ask police to take you home.
Oh, there's a free
I heard
free
that
ride?
something like that if you feel like scared or you're on your own or whatever, you can just go, I have no money. I'm feeling really scared. Apparently they can take you home. I mean, I don't think you could do it every weekend, like free Uber.
Oh, Lizzie's here again. She wants another ride. Well, I had a really funny thing happen to me at my cousin's wedding in Goondiwindi, which is like in Queensland country.
Yes.
And she had it at the races, and then me and my other cousins, we were all drunk and like trying to get home, and there's a million cars going back into the town, and then the police car stops for us.
Oh, my God.
And he was like, do you girls need a lift into town? And I was like, yeah, that'd be...
Do you know where my brain's gone? Yeah. Oh, he's a fake policeman.
Oh, no. I definitely believed him. He had the car, he had the uniform, he had everything. Good. I was like, yeah, I'd love, like, can you take us back to our hotel? And so it was me and my two cousins. And then, how nice is this? He was like, oh, are you girls hungry? Do you want to go? I know. He's like, do you girls want to go to the place where everyone gets their late night eats? And I was like,
my God.
Yeah, we do. So he took us to the service station, which had some sort of like kebab shop situation attached to it. And we got food and everything. And then he took us back to the motel that we were staying.
How nice is that?
It was really, I was like, this is country hospitality.
Yeah, that's it, right? That's country policing.
But also, as much as there are those stories like about, you know, us being scared and stuff like that and scary situations happening, I feel like there's also as many stories of like the good in people.
Totally, if not more.
If not more.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think it's a tough one because it's actually our nervous system and kind of biological wiring that's a lot of the fear.
Yeah.
You know?
It's also experiences that we've grown up with, especially as women, where it's like, don't do this, don't do that.
Exactly.
It's up to you to keep yourself safe.
Exactly.
It's that.
And I was in a
rhetoric.
but a situation once where I was just kind of a bit naive about something, end up in a town 3 hours away from where I was living, and the person I'd gone with, a guy, I was reliant on him. Again, I sent the transport thing here to get back home.
Yeah.
But having gone up there thinking we were there on like a work kind of thing, it actually turned out that he was not thinking that at all. And I was he'd saw me as his semi-girlfriend and was introducing me to like half his friends and family. The whole thing was horrific. That should have also been my story. But at that point, again, I'm making a choice between stay in the car park or get a lift with 3 guys. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm thinking at that point, my only objective is how do I get home? Which meant I had to sleep, not with him, but sleep in a spare room of his friend's place in the same bed, but like
to the side.
Yeah, thinking, who are you? Like, why are you doing this? But my only objective was, and this is just on the most minor level, my only objective was just be nice.
Yes.
Just go through this.
Keep the peace.
Get in that car, keep the peace, because you just need to get in that car and go home.
Ugh.
So I think there's little situations like that or little things where you sort of trust, but then you realise it's not quite what you thought, or your nervous system gets, and then, those things accumulate. So you just, carry the keys when you go for a run. And my partner's, there's a certain part near his place where I'm like, I'd never do this at night on my own. And I'm like, I'm not like 15.
No.
And he would go, really? I'm like, absolutely no way. I'm like, look at all those trees there. And I said, and I actually thought he would say, oh, you're sounding kind of a bit paranoid.
Yeah.
But he was really interested. And I said, look at all those trees. I said, yes, there's lighting here. And I'd already spied the security camera at the end of the thing. I said, but that's only useful the next day when they're trying to catch whoever it is, stabbing or whatever. It doesn't help me now. And I said, it's not paranoia. It's just being smart.
Yeah.
Because it's just literally going, I'm going to game the system. So I'm just going to go on that path, walk another 10 metres, and I may as well. Like I just say, it's just a matter of.
It's easy.
Well, no. Like,
yeah. Ah!
Yeah.
I wish we didn't have to.
I wish we didn't have to.
You get home safely after you've been with the.
Yes.
Did you tell anyone? Did you get home and just be,
You know
do you remember?
what?
Did you just be like, oh my gosh,
I
I just had the
don't think I
craziest thing
did.
happen? Did you keep it?
I think
Were you a
I
bit
did.
embarrassed?
I think so.
Yeah.
God, that's a great question. I don't remember telling anyone, which makes me feel like I just sort of didn't want it to be there. Like you're just kind of so relieved that you've got home. I was so relieved. I don't think I told anyone.
Yeah.
Because also I think I would have been a bit embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like that I'd fallen asleep, didn't have money to get home, had to do something dumb. Like, can you imagine just playing it through how the first reaction would be, you idiot?
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
Do you understand what could have happened? Oh, no,
Yeah.
I didn't think that through. Of course I
Yeah.
understood what could have happened. So, no, I don't think I told anyone. I think there's a bit of shame attached to it, actually. And that other situation, I've probably only told about 5 people in detail just because it was kind of embarrassing. Like I felt like I'd got myself into a situation through naivety.
Yeah. Well, you just read a situation.
And read a situation totally
incorrectly.
incorrectly. Yeah. So
well, not incorrectly, but
I misread it.
Yeah.
Totally misread the situation or believed it was something that it wasn't. So it's sort of a bit of innocence there or a bit of stupidity. So no, I don't think I told anyone. I think I was just so relieved. And it was really interesting when the question comes through for your podcast. I was kind of like, I can't think of anything major. But that was the first thing that came to mind.
Well, that's usually
and
the
I hadn't
best thing.
thought of it for years.
That kind of wouldn't happen now because it's so like you've got your phone, you could, hey, transfer me some money.
Or someone can order an Uber for you.
Yes.
Or you can tell people where you are. I've often thought about those people and sort of thought, I wonder what
I wonder what their story is.
Yeah, I'd love to know their story.
Yeah, because they're probably like, we picked this girl up on the side of the road. She was so scared. And
or she was kind of stupid to ask us for a lift. Or,
yeah, we could have done anything.
Yep.
But we had the baby seat in the car, so it was okay.
The baby seat.
You're still sus. Still baby seat in inverted commas.
Too much news does for you. Like, can you go?
Oh, yeah.
If you're in the news for too long, it got to a point where I'm like, I actually started thinking, because there's times when like something's happened, like a bus has crashed with, say, school kids on board. But you don't know which school at that point. You don't know how many kids are dead, but it's just like a little what we call like a 30-second read. And then maybe it emerges a bit later, the school, and then maybe it emerges the children who've died. I was convinced, this is what started making me want to shift out of the news, convinced that it's only a matter of time before I'm reading about someone I know, but only later do I realise that it was someone I know. So I'm like, there's been a car crash on, the Pacific Highway, head-on collision, 2 people are dead. And then I'm reading that every 15 minutes or whatever. Then I find out that it was someone I knew.
Oh, that sounds like the start of a great movie.
But there was definitely a point where I'm like, it's only a matter of time before. Your brain and friends of mine who are in the news and still in that very much 24-hour news thing, we do speak about how we think we have way too much of a worst case scenario and that we go from A to Z really quickly. Like if something small happens or I don't hear back from someone or something is a bit off or I've gone from, they've probably just been held up to already workshopping how I'm going to call work to tell them I'm not going to be there, how I'm going to keep the cat fed because they're in hospital, how I'm going to tell their parents that they're dead. Like it goes from that to that within about 2 minutes. Yeah, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
And so I often speak to a really good close friend of mine and I say to her, I think that's your news brain that's kicked in.
Okay.
And I'll be like, that makes sense, but it's not probably reality.
Yeah.
Like that's not how most people think. So don't go into the news. But journalism's a great job.
Yeah. The best job in the world.
Best job in the world.
I think you said. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for coming on my
Thank you,
podcast.
Lizzy. It's so lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you as well.
I feel very happy to have met you.
I feel really happy. And I just in the last, 10 years, I've followed your story.
And joy and courage you put out into the world.
Oh, thank you.
I feel, your job is not easy. I think it's really great.
It's a weird one because, I think at the start it wasn't easy, but now I'm just so used to it.
I'm so happy you've found your thing.
My thing.
Right?
Yeah. I feel very lucky.
Yeah.
Not everyone finds their thing.
Not everyone finds their thing. Thank you,
I feel very
Lizzy.
lucky. Thank you.